Smash your FM radio. Indie 100 rocks.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Tyrone Tann here on StarRoastEntertainment.tv, now here on Indie100.com radio. I just want to say thank you to all the thousands and thousands of listeners and fans from around the world that have been tuning into my show. And thanks to you guys, we are now on 7 times a week. 5 days every week, 5 times during the week, morning at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, as well as normal time slot at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And again, I thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for all your listenership and loyalty. It means a lot to me, and that's why we're on 7 times a week now. And again, so check us out here if you want. Also, do a tweet. Twitter me at Tyrone Tann. That's Tyrone Tann, Tyrone. Tan is a Nancy, N is a Nancy on Twitter, and hit me up a tweet. Let me know what you think. Also, if you want to email me any music requests and or questions, comments, and sometimes you like to read some Finlanders off the air, just email me at tyronetan@indie100.com. And also, if you guys want to, we still have that contest going on, or if you want to help donate and possibly win that $150,000 1966 ERA Shelby Cobra car valued at. We're still in cahoots here with Hollywood stuntman Sammy Maloof and his charity organization Winning at the Race of Life. And again, part of your donation and all that kind of good stuff, you get part of a raffle and to win that valued over $150,000 1966 ERA Shelby Cobra car. Sweet car. I got to do a little promo with it, and we've been pumping that up for a while. But most of all, you helping part of that charity could help a good cause as well as possibly win. So go check out their site for all the rules, details, deadlines, and all kind of good stuff. Again, that's www.winashelbycobracar.com. And last but not least, before we bring on these guests coming in, great guests coming in, if you guys are into independent films and documentaries, these guys are great. But check out our main production website at www.starroastentertainment.tv if you want to check out a lot more celebrity interviews, web series, feature films, and all kind of good stuff. Check us out over there. Visit us. Go us on Facebook, Star Roast Entertainment. Like us. All that kind of good stuff. All the little social media stuff I do appreciate. And again, I thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. You guys mean a lot. I'm not just saying that. I say that every show because I do mean that. Again, www.starroastentertainment.tv. That's STAUROS Entertainment.tv. So I think we got all the plugs out of the way. And before we bring on these guests, we do our little movie review. My guest co-host is off for the day. So normally we talk about the kind of cool films out there, whether it's out there in the theater and or on Blu-ray DVD. And I got a privilege of being able to watch a movie last night. I went to the premiere, and I got to cover this thing. And actually a friend of mine, dear friend of mine, filmmaker, director, writer, Donald B. Welch's newest movie. He's also an author. The Divorce, which is a great movie. You could check it out already. It's already on Blu-ray DVD. It's doing very well, but just got released. But I got to see. They actually just had the screening of the night, and it was an awesome film. So I want to. Plug it out there. Again, it's called The Divorce. Thanks to IMDb here. Here's a little synopsis. Successful TV anchor woman Yolanda Massey, played by Dawn Lewis, is celebrating her recent divorce by throwing herself a divorce party with her closest sorority girlfriends. Coming along for the ride is her hilarious, funny, no-nonsense BFF, Eva, Vanessa Bell Calloway, played by Vanessa Bell Calloway, her younger sister, Cece, Angel Conwell, and her newfound friend, Victoria, played by a friend of mine, Tatiana Ali. For good measure, throw in her self-absorbed mother, a sexy younger beau, and a handsome ex-husband, and you are in for an evening of raucous laughter, heartache, and ultimate surprise. And it also stars Judy Pace, Frida Payne, Tammy Mack, Keith Burke, Janelle Allen, and Rylan Williams. And if I botch any of those names, I do apologize. But my review for it, I think it was a great, powerful film. I got to check that out, got to go to the premiere, and again, a wonderful job again by writer-director Donald B. Welch, dear friend of mine. But I definitely highly recommend it if you're into comedies and dramas, I definitely think it's something you could go check it out. I highly recommend it. It's up there if I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, it was really, really well done. I mean, the actual movie that is out on Blu-ray. It's actually in a way like movies like Tyler Perry does movies where he has a lot of stage plays and then they film their stage plays because it has a built hardcore audience. And so this movie, it's not the type of cinema type movie or cinema filmmaking style, but it's actually a movie of their stage play that's recorded that is now released because the stage play is very successful. So Don Welch does so many great projects as an author as well as a stage play writer, and now into feature films, and I definitely highly recommend checking that out. And last but not least, I do want to plug this still. It's Oscar month, and if you have not gotten to check out Wolf of Wall Street, I do highly still recommend checking that out again. My boy Leonardo DiCaprio, who's been nominated for an Oscar, and I'm very, very proud of him. And so check that out. If you have not seen it, we've already done enough reviews on there, but I'm still wanting to plug this in. Wolf of Wall Street, directed by Martin Scorsese, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Jonah Hill, and great film. It's still out there in the theaters. So last but not least, again, if you guys are into movies, this is a cool flick. I got to see a little bit on this stuff, and we're going to talk to the filmmakers. If you have not heard in the circuit lately, there's a cool documentary out there that's called American Addict, and we had the pleasure of having the filmmakers into the studio today, and I was trying to figure out. Normally, my guest co-host kind of brings in devises a way of how to make the guests feel special. Sometimes they come in on land speeders, sometimes surfboards, whatever, and I don't know. Sometimes even Transformers. And I was trying to figure out, should we just bring this in? Maybe we should make them. These guys are two handsome guys here, so I thought maybe we could hook them up with some nice, lovely ladies that could escort them in here, and make them feel like royalty or something like that. Just make them feel good. And I think, wait a minute, I think they're about to come into the studio right now. They're coming in. Oh, with these lovely ladies. Oh my gosh, they're carrying them up here. And the carrots and the doves and the light, the beams of light. Oh my gosh, look at all these beautiful ladies bringing them in. Woo! Here they come, the filmmakers. We have the director, producer, Sasha Knezev, and executive producer, co-writer, Dr. Gregory Smith, coming into the studio of Star Wars Entertainment.tv now here at Indy 100. Bring them down, ladies. Nice and gentle. Here they come. Here they come. We got Sasha Knezev and Dr. Gregory Smith. Welcome.
Thanks
a lot for having us.
I will be back after that.
Wow, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, look, ladies,
Do we
thank
get
you.
the same escort on the way out?
Thank you, girls. Thank you. Okay, you guys can leave. All right. Well, again, just a little joke there, guys. Again, thank you so much for coming to StarWarsEntertainment.tv on here at Indy100.com radio. Welcome.
Nice to be here.
Yep.
Again, nice to have you guys. Oh, wow. So finally, we meet Sasha face to face.
Finally, a couple reschedules, but we're in.
Yeah. And Doctor?
Thank you.
It's good to see you.
Yeah,
and I don't even have an appointment for a doctor's appointment.
No charge to it.
But again, so we're here to pump up the movie that you guys got. Very, very powerful film that I'm hearing about, American Addict. Is that correct? And we want the audience to get to know you guys. We may become fans of you guys, follow you guys, and not only that, ultimately go check out the movie. And also, we're going to talk about, you also have a fundraiser going up for the part 2, because I think it's doing well enough so you can have the part 2.
It's doing very well on Netflix.
Awesome. So again, we got American Addict, which is a documentary feature film.
Yes.
And we have in the studio, we have the director and writer, one of the co-writers, Sasha Knezev,
Correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And K is silent. And
Django Unchained.
and
D is silent.
executive producer, and co-writer, Dr. Gregory Smith.
Easier name.
Okay,
Yes.
cool, easy. So again, welcome guys, and again, so we're gonna talk about you guys, but for the audience there, we want to let them know, about maybe a little bit of history about you guys first. Where were you born and raised, Sasha?
I'm born and raised in Los Angeles. My parents are immigrants from the former Yugoslavia. They're Serbian. So I was a first-born generation here in Los Angeles. Grew up in San Pedro, southern Los Angeles. Attended the University of Southern California Film School. Got my BA and my MA from USC Film School, and I've pretty much been writing narrative films for the last 10 years. This is my first documentary.
Oh, wow.
We have a little interesting story how Greg and I met, and we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But I primarily write narrative films. I wrote and directed 2 feature films. One, Welcome to San Pedro, one, Fragments of Daniela, which I produced as well, and about 3 short films, some commercials here and there, and that's it. Greg and I met 3 years ago. I don't know if, Greg, maybe you can tell the story about how we met. This project came to fruition after, a couple of years since our initial contact. I've never done a documentary. I always wanted to, but it had to be something that was very particular and very special, a subject that really grabbed me.
It's been more than 3 years we've known each other like this.
Wow.
But it seems like it's only been 3 years, but
where were you born and raised? We'll get into
I was born in Springfield, Ohio, but I grew up in Yellow Springs, Ohio. Tiny little town, like 3,000 or 4,000 people. It's actually
Ohio?
a village.
Are you near Piqua?
Actually, I do know where Piqua is.
That was the only place I've been. Not
a lot of reason to go to Ohio. It's a great place to grow up.
Yeah, it was actually a beautiful place.
Yeah, great place to grow up. And then I went to Indiana University undergrad. Went to Washington University in St. Louis for a medical degree. I was in New York for residency. And a lot of times people are asking me, well, how did you get into the film business when you're like a doctor? But it's sort of not new for me. I was sort of doing these things parallel for many years, back to when I was doing a lot of modeling in college and medical school. Actually used the money to help put myself through that.
Wow.
I did some commercials, and I took acting lessons, I took voice lessons, but obviously my main thing was being a doctor. So I always had the dream to do films. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's interesting. I was writing this book called American Addict, and I met Sasha at a little party. And we were talking, drinking, and then he started telling me, you should make a film about this. And I started laughing, thinking, well, we've both been drinking. So obviously he's joking. And then we talked about it, and about 6-9 months went by, nothing happened. I ran to him again. He said, you know what, you should make a movie about this. And that's how it started. Wow. So we really collaborated well. We have I say he's my brother from a very different mother. But we really collaborate well, and I think that we wanted to do a film that was a documentary but looked more like a narrative. We didn't want to do some talking head, dry documentary. So original music, that it was just bumping and people are moving around. It's more active. It's not something people get bored with. But at the same time, tell a very, very powerful message.
Awesome. Well, what we're going to do is we want to get, the depth story of you guys, who we have the audience get to understand maybe what drove you guys to making this film. So you're born and raised in Los Angeles, Sasha.
Right.
Did you know growing up that you wanted to become a filmmaker?
Absolutely. I always was a writer and love film, have a keen sense of cinema, particularly American cinema history, and I'm pretty much a cinephile. I could talk to you about film all day long. Also foreign films as well. Mm-hmm. I'm big on Eastern European films. I wrote a book on Eastern European cinema and media representation, something I wrote about 3 years ago or whatnot. But I really am a cinephile. I love film, and I could talk all day. I love film trivia, quiz, all that stuff. And I knew, I grew up in San Pedro, which is sort of a blue-collar town. My parents were immigrants. They had the thick accents going to school. And I wanted to go to a great film school. So SC was obviously a big film school. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to go with the big boys here, putting myself through school, not, the other way around. And I went in there, to network, to meet people. I always knew I was an artist. I'm very creative, and I've always shot, and I come from somewhat of a theatrical background as well. I did some theater in junior college, but I was always a writer and very expressive. Correct. So I went to, I initially started off as a business major, but I loved film so much and I loved writing. I just said, you know what, the hell with it. I'm going to be a film major. And there's so many film majors, these days, people that go and they want to make films and they go into film school, but so many of them don't stick with it and don't, hammer it out. And, I've told myself a long time ago, if I'm going to go, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep writing because it's a tough industry. You know it more than anyone. Yeah. There's a lot of luck and chance involved. The talent, definitely, you have to have the talent. You have to have the drive. Yeah. I've always known that I wanted to make film, and I'm very passionate about certain subject matter. So this is a subject matter, thankfully, that I was aware of because, so many of us know people that are addicted to some sort of, pain medication or some antidepressant. And then, Greg brought me into this, kind of opened up this world to me, the political and economic landscape of this subject. And it was just from there on, we were able to just go in deeper and deeper, and it turned out to be a great experience.
Well, we're kind of building the audience here about this movie. And what we're going to do, we're going to keep doing that. Really quickly, to parlay to Dr. Gregory Smith, executive producer, writer. Did you know growing up as well, if not wanting to be a filmmaker, wanting to be a doctor?
Well, I was a tennis player, believe it or not. Everyone thinks I played basketball, but I was a ranked tennis player, and I actually wanted to be a pro tennis player or a doctor when I was about 15 or 16. But at the same time, in high school and all that, was into the acting and the film and the drama and all that. So once, tennis is a sport for the very young. So once you hit about 22, 23, if you're not pro, I really went the medical route, but I never really lost track of the dream. I wrote a lot, similar to with Sasha. Sasha obviously went to film school, and I did not. but I actually wrote a couple screenplays when I was in college and medical school. Obviously, they have never been done, but they're still in my computer. So it was always there, and it's funny, when I met Sasha, I thought, I was starting to think it's never going to happen. I mean, like, how many years are going to go by? And then it just sort of really opened up things for me since I've met him.
Real quick, I just want to say, Greg is a doctor, but when I met him, I talked about what a big fan I am of cinema. But he's got he knows film very well. So I'm sitting there the first time, like, all right, this guy's a doctor, right?
Before we forget, what doctor? What kind of what the field are you?
Chronic pain and addiction.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So we could check that up. Like when I get chronic.
It's like Greg was saying, him and I are like brothers now. But when I first initially met him, I was like, oh, he wants to do a film on pain medication. I didn't know the route. I didn't know him. Sort of, we had a couple meetings, and we started talking about film, which is great because I like to draw parallels to films and stylistic devices and certain tropes and what we want to do visually and stuff. Correct. And Greg, whatever film I would speak of, Greg had a thorough understanding of what I was talking about hybridizing certain genres. So that was fantastic. So I was like, all right, I know I'm going to work with this guy because the first thing I envisioned, I gave him my DVD of one of my films, Fragments of Daniela, to check out, which is really
what was that called?
Fragments of Daniela.
Fragments of Daniela.
Yeah, it's an avant-garde kind of film about human trafficking, but it's very visual and stylized. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to let him check it out and see what he thinks. And at first I had this idea, like, I don't know what type of documentary does he make, and I don't want to make a documentary where there's some voiceover and someone giving these, cheesy visuals and whatnot.
In today's world.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that was far from the case. And I told him, I said, look, the one thing I asked, let's make it cinematic. Well, let's make it a documentary, but it's got to be cinematic.
Informative.
And we both agreed, no voiceover, because I don't like voice personally. Mm-hmm. And let's use some devices. I'm going to use an editor who's never edited a documentary. He's strictly a filmic editor. He's done narrative films, but that's going to be a device because we want to use him to have this be his first documentary, so we could bring that
film,
that element of narrative to the cinematic experience of structuring the film. So just going back to what Greg was saying, that worked out very well because I'm thinking this guy's a doctor. We all have this perception of doctors. I'm thinking this guy's going to start testing me out right now and checking my heart rate or whatnot. But so Greg definitely is very keen on film and cinema. So it turned out to be a perfect combination.
Really quick. Maybe we get this really quick before we go to commercial. Who you because you guys are both these have these cinema files in your memory. Who are your inspirations as a filmmaker?
Well, Spike Lee, I think, was very good. I was really inspired by Do the Right Thing, the way the thing was shot. But he's and Spielberg, obviously.
And yourself, Sasha, who are you?
I would, probably Martin. It's funny you're talking about Wolf of Wall Street, and I'm a huge Martin Scorsese fan.
Yeah.
I would say in terms of the states in the U.S., it would be Martin Scorsese and early Coppola, because I love early
Coppola.
Well, I mean, not to say anything about his
yeah.
newer stuff, but I really love The Conversation,
Correct.
Godfather 1 and 2. I mean, brilliant masterpieces. Apocalypse Now. I mean, most people are lucky to make one masterpiece. In my estimation, he's made 3.
Yeah.
Godfather 1 and 2, which could be an extension of one film, but Apocalypse Now as well. Scorsese, I really enjoyed The Wolf of Wall Street. It was great, and I agree that your friend Leo did a great job. Amazing.
It was interesting. Yeah, because Scorsese it's funny because we bring on a lot of filmmakers on here, and it's funny on who they always mention as an inspiration, and Scorsese's name always comes up.
I do have one guy I can't forget because I really like to he's a huge influence on me. He's a Serbian filmmaker named Emir Kusturica, and he's won 2 Palme d'Or Cannes awards for Best Director. It's only been done by, I think, 5 directors. He's very influential on me because, my roots, I'm definitely an LA-bred American, but I have several roots of mine that go from the old country. So he has this genre of hyper-realism and that he sort of coined through his films, Underground and Black Cat and White Cat, that are huge influence on me stylistically. So I have to give him credit because I'm a big fan of his, but definitely within the States, it's got to be Scorsese.
Awesome. Well, we're going to get more into and talking. We got the whole hour here talking to Sasha Knezev, director, writer, and Dr. Gregory Smith, executive producer, co-writer of the film American Addict, which is a great documentary out there. Again, don't really log off, but if you write this down so you can check this out, go to their website. We'll be right back more with them. But American Addict, themovie.com. That's American Addict, ADDICT, themovie.com. And we'll be right back more here with the filmmakers of American Addict, and we'll be right back.
With supershopper.org, you can post your ad online.
Welcome back. It's Tyrone Tann here on StarRoastEntertainment.tv, now here on Indie100.com radio. Again, hit me up a tweet over at Tyrone Tann on Twitter. That's at Tyrone Tann, TYRONETAN as in Nancy, N as in Nancy. And also, if you have any music requests, enter questions, comments, all that kind of good stuff, email me at TyroneTann@Indie100.com. That's TyroneTann@Indie100.com. And also hit us up on our Facebook page, Star Roast Entertainment on Facebook. And also our main website at www.starroastentertainment.tv. That's www.starroastentertainment.tv for a lot more celebrity interviews, web series, feature films, all kind of good stuff. Check us out over there. And again, without further ado, we are back here with the filmmakers, director, writer, Sasha Knezev, and executive producer, co-writer, Dr. Gregory Smith, the filmmakers of the documentary film American Addict. Welcome back. All right, guys. So we got into where you guys are born and raised, who your influences are. Scorsese for you, Spike Lee, and you both kind of connected at a party, so to speak. And you guys, just to wrap up for that, maybe people are just tuning in, and how you guys met and how you guys kind of connected, and then finding out that you obviously, Sasha, finding out that Greg here was a doctor, and but your misconceptions led you wrong because you knew he was also a filmmaker connoisseur. Exactly. So now bring everyone back to speed, and so now, how did you guys? So you came out finally to LA to, let's say, to pursue the medical field or the filmmaking field?
Well, it's interesting you say that. I mean, that was one of my reasons I came out here was I had to make a living being a doctor. So came out to UCLA, Harbor UCLA, that time when I first came here. It was 17, 18 years ago before I started private stuff. But then I knew I'd be in LA and then I could pursue things. So I told Sasha, I can't remember what school I went to, but I actually took directing lessons. I've always been taking lessons so I would understand filmmaking from all different angles. So it was something inside me. I thought at one point it would happen. I just didn't know when.
Gotcha. And now, Sasha, so when you guys connected, was it because of the movie America, like the concept of American Addict, or was it just the just the background that you guys both like film, and how did the whole?
Well, we met, and then we started talking about the film, and then I saw him again. I gave him my film, I don't know, some time ago to watch my DVD, and he calls me and says, "Let's have a meeting. I want to do this." And I'm like, "What do you want to do?" I'm trying to remember because we had a lot of drinks that night. So he's like, "I want to make the film." All right, cool. So that's when we had the meeting. We started talking about it. So it's like, all right, let's do this. And what's interesting for me is it's my first documentary. When you write a narrative, it's a little bit different as well. You know that. You have the scripts, you get your actors, your cast, and you can, pretty much schedule your shooting. For the most part, schedule your post-production and your production. You could do a, 4-week shoot, 6-week shoot, whatever. You can schedule it yourself. You get your locations. But with the documentary, it's a little bit different because you have these. You're investigating. You're trying to develop a perspective. There's there's the subjective angle. There's the objective angle. Which one do you want to take? You don't want to cheat the audience. You don't want to hammer a message over somebody's head, which is another thing that we discussed. There's a lot of documentaries, and I love documentaries, but the ones I found most effective were their message wasn't being pounded over my head. Particularly with a voiceover, like this is evil, this that.
18,000 people.
Exactly. So okay, well, how are we going to do this? I mean, okay, we have the subject matter. It's a prescription pill epidemic in America. People are dying, and it's 5 times. Go ahead, Greg.
That was the point, though. The point is that personally for me, I just got sick of seeing people dying, not just patients, but friends, family. I'm like, no one's paying attention to this, and most of the people that are talking about it are writing medical books and literature, and most people don't have the attention span to look at that. So I wanted to say, how can we communicate this in a way that's going to get people's attention? Films get people's attention, especially good films. And so that was the thing I told Sasha. Look, we don't want this to look like the normal documentary. We get the message, we put the information out there, and let the audience draw the obvious conclusions. We don't hammer them with the information, and that's what we did.
Because overall, okay, the documentary is about people being addicted to not drugs, so to speak, not like as a
here's how the film starts. The film says it starts off saying we're 5% of the world's population, but we consume 80% of the world's prescription hydrocodone, which is Vicodin, Norco, 50% of all medications, prescription medications in general. So when you look at that, you have to wonder, is this on purpose, or is this just a coincidence? And it's not a coincidence. It is on purpose. So that was the premise of the film. And of course, we start off with a montage of all the different celebrities that have died, and it's been very, very sad. But this is how the film starts, and we sort of explain it based on the relationship between the FDA, the big pharmaceutical companies, the media, the doctors. How does this all happen? And that's really the premise of the film.
Awesome. And now, so Sasha, as a filmmaker, you said you were your background has been more narrative. What was so intriguing for you when you heard about this and what he had written that says, like, is it something that hit home, or is it something that you just were, because something had to be, because some topics could, I'll read scripts all the time, or someone will say something, and what was it about this particular topic for you personally that made you say, you know what, I'm willing to invest my time and energy into making a documentary, even though it's not a narrative, but I'm going to give it a shot?
Well, the political angle, definitely, because I started investigating. Greg, gave me his facts, so I started investigating more and more and more, and really saw how deep the rabbit hole went, so to speak. And then I was looking at the number of victims of these people that were dying and addicted, and this really went to the top of the pyramid, so to speak, to the executive level of our branch of our government. Wow. Now, that's to say, I'm very much against, let's say, marijuana being illegal or whatnot. I'm not. I used to smoke marijuana, whatever. But I mean, the drug laws in this. we'll not get into that.
That's another show.
The drug laws in this country are so rigid and strict. And you start looking at the amount of money that these pharmaceutical companies are making, and that they're in essence, almost like legal drug dealers, and they're immune from any persecution, and they get direct to consumer advertising. I mean, it's the equivalent of a dope dealer being able to, put up an infomercial or 30-second ad on, primetime TV. So looking at that, and how are these people, you look at the victims of this, and it's, I started realizing, it's not their fault. And I met Greg's patients, and he was talking to me about it. And I started really digging, and with Greg, and Greg had a lot of information, and then I started digging some information and said, did you know about this? Did you know about that? And it just got more and more.
Almost conspiracy.
Yeah, it got to the level of conspiracy.
Wow. Which we did not want to.
Yeah.
We
wanted to tread the line.
Could easily go over that line. There's so much that we left out of the film that is mind-boggling, literally. So, but it's like almost anything else. There's ties in the government. When there's huge dollars, and we're talking hundreds of billions of dollars at stake on a yearly basis, there's nothing that has not happened, and nothing that surprises us at this point. But again, we didn't want to have a film that gets up on YouTube as a conspiracy film. We wanted really to reach the mainstream public so they would pay attention to what the real problems are
and advocate, health and public awareness. There's a great documentary called Food Inc. If you've seen that. It's a great film. It's about the corporatization of our food supply, and this is sort of parallels that in that it's the corporatization of drugs, but it goes even deeper because children are being hooked on drugs. Little children that are 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and we just needed to bring this out because we're looking 10 years from now.
Correct.
If it's this bad, where are we going as a society?
Well, now speaking of, because you were saying that you like documentaries, and you were you obviously you've been influenced by filmmakers. For audiences out there that maybe aren't into documentaries, or maybe they are, what are the documentaries that you've liked that you said, okay, I want to make it similar to this? Or maybe
Food
not
Inc.
like that. What is Food Inc?
Yeah,
Food Inc?
I think the pitch was Food Inc. meets something. I don't know what it was at the time.
Supersize Me.
Maybe that one wasn't bad. Gosh, I can't remember that was Inside Job.
Yeah.
Did you see?
Okay.
They won the Academy Award for. I think it was Food Inc. meets Inside Job, and I thought that was a fantastic documentary. Again, an important issue on the financial crisis. Millions of Americans losing their homes, and it wasn't their fault. This was a inherently corrupt system that they were unwillingly part of. And digging deep into that film, it really exposed how the influence of these financial institutions on universities, the executive level, the lobbyists and whatnot. And I think our film is very similar in the sense that we expose how culpable the universities are from a medical standpoint. I mean, Greg went to medical school, obviously, and I don't know if it's changed, if it was like that when he was in it. But now, if you're not a strong advocate for these pharmaceutical companies, you're pretty much you're not going to get ahead. So we looked into that, and the Ivy League schools and whatnot, and Greg can maybe.
The pharmaceuticals have a lot of money into the medical schools or residency programs, and they provide a lot of the funding for education. So they're going to have their slant, their agenda is going to be learned because they're the ones that are providing a lot of the money. But as in Food Inc., we really wanted to just show what the facts are and then let people make their own logical decision, and not to say, look how bad the pharmaceutical companies are, look how bad these people are. Because it's not about, I've said many times, there's good people that work in the pharmaceutical companies, there's good people that work for the FDA, there's good people that work at Monsanto, who people say is the evil empire. It's usually a small amount of people at the top of these large corporations that have often a sinister agenda, or an agenda that is totally financially based, and then the people suffer as a result of it.
So you're not really have not gotten to check out the film yet, but you're not saying you're against prescription drugs. It's about how people are, because obviously being a doctor, you have to prescribe.
I prescribe drugs daily, but it's it's this simple. It is that drugs have become the answer to a problem instead of a temporary solution as you find the root cause of a problem. So if a person is having a problem sleeping, they get a sleeping pill, and then a year from now they're still taking a sleeping pill, and then 10 years from now they're still sleeping, instead of finding out why can't you sleep in the first place. And it's great for business. Sick people are great for business.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get back more into, again, check out, again, it's on Netflix, iTunes, Amazon.com. We're going to be coming back more to talk a little bit more in depth with, again, filmmakers Sasha Knezev and Dr. Gregory Smith of the film American Addict. And if you want to check out their main website, which you get a link to all that kind of good stuff, again, it's on Netflix if you haven't gone to see it. It's American Addict themovie.com. That's AMERICAN ADDICT themovie.com. Check it out. We'll be right back here. We're going to be coming back. We're going to be playing, we'll go with The Big Bang by ADDICT. We'll be right back. All right, that was The Big Bang by ADDICT. Again, if you want any other music requests, question, comments, again, email me at tyronetan@indie100.com. Again, check us out also on Facebook at Star Wars Entertainment. And we are back here with the filmmakers of the documentary feature film American Addict. Again, check it out at AmericanAddictTheMovie.com. You could check it out on Netflix, iTunes, and as well as Amazon.com. And we're going to get into, you guys are going to be making part 2, but we'll talk about that. So we left off, and we're talking about you were mentioning kind of off the air something about
the FDA.
The FDA.
Well, it's
before I forget,
Yeah.
really quick, because I wanted to lead up to that. When starting into this project, how long from the starting point did it take to, and then we'll get into that after you don't forget about that, but how long from the starting point of you guys, okay, we're going to make this film, because you're talking about the research, you're talking about all this stuff, and I'm always curious. I had just done a documentary myself, and different, and I was curious on how long the process for someone like yourself on this kind of subject matter before you actually, from research to going, okay, we're going to start filming, because
to the premiere.
Yeah, I would say so. You'd say, how long did that process whole take?
What do you say, Greg? 2 years?
2.5 years. Two
and a half.
From the time you guys decided.
Yeah, the reason is because we have about, at least 20 experts in the film. Everything from congressmen to doctors to people that are involved in law enforcement, and you need to schedule them based on their time.
Correct.
So it's tough. So when Dennis Kucinich calls you a big time congressman and says, "Okay, I got to do it this day, and this day," you can't tell him, "I can't do that day, Dennis." You got to do it. You have to do it. So.
And the different states.
And the different states, yeah.
8 or 9 different states to film this.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
So you guys had to travel. So did you guys set, for a lot of independent, we have a lot of filmmakers and independent filmmakers out there that you might inspire. From that point on, did you set, okay, for a documentary, this is how much I'm going to spend? Because it could take, it could go on. It's not like a narrative where you could sit there and you go, okay, this is how much this shot or this scene. For a documentary, you may have to travel. You may have to do this. Right. So was there something for those out there that maybe need to prepare that made you go, okay, well, this is what we don't want to spend over, or this is what we do, and how did you guys prepare for that? Well, since
Greg was paying for it, I'm sure that, there was a lot, but he knows
more.
Yeah,
it always costs about, I would say, we come up with a budget, and then I would add at least 50% more to make sure there's a lot of unexpected things. Right. It became burdensome. The way that we financed this film originally, I was trying to get funding, and like a lot of people do, and I met an investment banker, and he liked the project so much that he said, "Look, we can do this ourselves if we do it piecemeal." So basically, that's what we did. When we treat it almost like an employee or something. So we allotted so much money per month. Oh, now, wow. Unfortunately, as things go in this business, certain people drop out. So at one point, it was basically me footing the bill to the end to get this thing to the finish line. And things change. I mean, some months were a lot more expensive than others. Like when they had to go to Florida and New York and Washington, D.C., it's like, it's a lot of traveling, a lot of airfare. So, but yeah, the money's always the most difficult part.
Wow.
And I wore a lot of hats myself too. And when I showed, coming from an independent film background, I showed Greg the films I made and the budgets, and I've get several locations where I don't pay things, and I do what I have to do. So I think that we had a very good budget for the film, but I think it would have, the average filmmaker, I like to say, it would have cost at least double.
Yeah.
I do not
Yeah.
like to pay for anything I don't have to pay for,
Right.
and without trying to get
get
it. So
creative
I'm used to
when you
that.
have
Yeah, we
less
get
money.
very. That's,
Now, on
that's the only
documentary-
thing I know.
And a documentary like this, did you have to have several cameramen at the same time? Did you guys go? What was your style?
I had
And as a filmmaker,
Yeah,
what was? How
I
did you approach
have
this?
one cinematographer, DP, I work with named David Boza. I've worked with him on several projects. I worked with him on commercials. So he's my guy. Then I had, we had 3 cameras set up. I had a profile shot, a wide and a close up. And so we had different camera guys and different sound people. When we traveled, we would look for, say, a sound person in New York, so
Correct.
rather than flying them out there. So each state, we'd have somebody on
So you get
standby.
someone- you get-
Exactly.
oh, that's cool.
exactly. So that's sort of the method we did.
That's awesome.
But
And it's cool because it's like, and for those out there that are wanting to do something to like this, that's a good technique as well. That some people will. I mean, it would be cool to use the same crew, but when you guys start having to travel, and no one starts to realize the traveling costs, and this is why films even leave from California to other states because it's cheaper, X, Y, and Z. But those are things that they should allocate.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
and I didn't forget. So you were talking about something about the FDA.
Well, going back to making a documentary, it's so much different from a narrative film where you have to put on sort of your investigatory hat and you're digging and you're investigating and what drawing parallels and conclusions and juxtaposing your research to you're hypothesizing and whatnot. So anyway, we knew the FDA obviously was a part of this. So it's a taxpayer, a federal institution, so we have the right to call them and ask them for an interview. We're paying for the place, and I spent, I don't know, two weeks in Washington, D.C. We interviewed Congressman Dennis Kucinich, which is great. He's a great guy, by the way. Great. He's an example. He's not a congressman anymore, but a congressman that actually cares. Yeah. So that was wonderful.
That's why he's not a congressman.
Yeah, that's why he's not a congressman anymore. That's a good point. But so we went to the FDA, and I made a call. They had their sort of PR people to call in, and I called in. I told them we're filmmakers. We're out of Los Angeles. We're making a film about prescription pills. They didn't know the extent of it. They asked some questions. We told them a little bit, and we asked if we could interview somebody from there, and they said, "Sure, we can set you up with either this doctor or that doctor or this doctor." And I said, "It doesn't matter. Just we're in Washington D.C. for this 4 or 5 days. Just give us any doctor. All we need is about 20 minutes or so, and we just like to ask some questions about some of the the policies, the process of getting a drug to the market and whatnot." So she scheduled us, and we had the entire crew there, ready to go. The day before the interview, she calls and says, "Oh, well, the doctor can't make it. He has a meeting. The UN called, and he has to go address the UN." And we're in, we were in our hotel room. So he can't do it, but he could do it I have another doctor that could do it, on this day, which is like 3 days later.
Ugh.
And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Well, let's do that. But that means what? More time,
More
more money, more,
yeah. More
you're staying
money.
there more. And so we're like, okay, well, we just thought that was just happenstance, and we'll just interview this other doctor. So then that day approaches, and then we get another call from the same lady from the FDA. "Oh, this doctor cannot be there. He's got some meeting with the World Health Organization." I don't know what she was saying. We could do this day. And then it was the third time, and literally 3 times they canceled. At that point, it was kind of like, okay, well, we get the point here.
Dragging
But
it.
she did say, "We'll allow you to film, though we couldn't help you, we'll allow you to film inside the FDA." So we went in with the crew, and we just filmed the heck out of it.
Yeah.
So what is in there that
I mean, it looked like the Death Star. I mean, it was huge. Maybe that was a bad analogy, considering they approve all our food and our drugs. But I mean, it is a massive facility. Do you remember the amount of employees? I think 20,000 or something. 20,000 employees.
Where is this at?
It's in
Washington, D.C.
Wow.
This is Washington, D.C. in general. It's like the land of the Romans up there. They are so well funded while everyone else is sort of struggling. But the FDA did not want to answer one question, and that question is that why is it that the pharmaceutical companies are paying anywhere up to several $100,000 to up to $1 million per application for a drug, when that's the very agency that's supposed to oversee that drug being put on the market? They don't want to answer that question because it's a ludicrous relationship. No one would do that in any other industry and say it's okay, but it goes on all day, every day, and they get the majority of their budget from the drug companies who they're overseeing. Doesn't make sense. They didn't want to answer that.
Wow.
And the same thing real quick with the DEA. We had someone, head of the DEA, a New York division that handled prescription drug narcotics. They have a division just like they do for all other illicit drugs. We had him interviewed, and then we interviewed about a week prior to that date in New York, a professor from Stanford named Dr. Donald Light, and he wrote a book called The Dangers of Prescription Drugs. And this guy's a harmless professor, wrote a book, and he praised some of the FDA. He didn't just bash them. He said there's people there that do a good job. However, there's corruption there and whatnot. So the day before that interview, the DEA calls us and says, we're going to cancel. Why are you going to cancel it? And it's funny because our cinematographer, our DP, freaked out. He's like, "They're following our every move." And he said, because you interviewed Donald Light, and Donald Light's this harmless, college professor from Stanford. I mean, what did he mean? He says, "We don't want to be sandbagged." But
he's got a voice.
Yeah, he's got a voice.
He's not harmless.
But I want to say, fortunately, we were able to get Sergeant Steve Offerman from Los Angeles, who was undercover part of a task force called HALT, which is responsible for, overseeing all the illicit prescription medication in Los Angeles. So we did get, I don't want to bash law enforcement, we did get help from Sergeant Steve Offerman, you the man, Steve. But from a federal level, it got to the point where we had all these stops.
We're bashing DEA, not the law enforcement.
Yeah, exactly.
So what did you, before we wrap up, we got like 10 minutes left, but, so what do you want people to know about this movie, why they should check it out, and what is it that you guys are pretty much telling the audience, saying, okay, because there's so many documentaries, so many movies out there, and again, by the way, check them out on Netflix, iTunes, Amazon, but AmericanAddictTheMovie.com. But what is it for the audience out there that you want them to walk away with knowing about this?
Well, the film could literally save their life, or their life, or someone they care about. It's really that dramatic. Lots of films are entertaining and lots of films are informative, but the information in this film can save people, because when people understand what's going on with them, how their medical care is so controlled, they can make better decisions about what's going on into their body. Because the days of simply just trusting your doctor just implicitly, with just blindly, are over. You really have to know what you're getting treated for, why you're getting these medications, and ask intelligent questions. And hopefully have a minute to talk about American Act 2, because we're taking it a lot further with that and showing how these same medications are linked to almost every mass shooting that we see. And instead of vilifying the guns and making a gun control platform, that it is really the medication platform that's causing all these shootings. And there's so many other parallels in our society right now to the prescription medications are really making really negative inroads on. Doesn't mean that they're bad, but it's the overuse and the misuse of them that's bad.
Wow. So again, you're saying you guys are doing American Addict 2, possibly.
Correct.
And you said you were mentioning to me off air that you were doing an Indiegogo campaign?
Doing Indiegogo for American Act 2. We have funding, some funding in place for American Act 2. We're already in production of American Act 2, but we can always use more.
Yeah,
and so we don't want to take money. I've actually been offered money from some companies or corporations that I don't want to be affiliated with, because it would make us look hypocritical. So we try and keep it clean and make the money come from places that are completely non-biased, and that's why we go to the people in an Indiegogo campaign. We just launched it a few days ago.
And please help, because I'd love to have one day of on the road where I don't have to share a room with my crew. And I can have my own room.
So if everyone, even out there, I mean, I know the amount of listeners that listen, even if it put in $1 a piece, you guys, I mean, that could add up. I mean,
Absolutely.
Obviously, hopefully more. But I'm saying, but even if you guys don't think you can't contribute, and we were able to raise a lot of fundraising on whether Kickstarters, Indiegogos, a lot of independent filmmakers that have come on here. And so I just suggest you guys, check out the first one. Check out American Addict, the first film. And if you guys are interested to support the part 2, which I think you may be, then go do the Indiegogo campaign, which is www.indiegogo.com.
Yeah, and you just type in American Addict.
And then type in American Addict.
American Act 2. Rather.
American Addicts or American Addict 2.
Yeah.
And then go to that. But again, in the meantime, check them out on Netflix, iTunes, Amazon.com. Again, that's American Addict, and their main website is AmericanAddictTheMovie.com. Before we got to almost wrap this up. We got like 7 minutes left, guys. Time is flying by.
Yeah.
But the show ultimately is about inspiring others. Obviously, you guys been inspired to get into your fields and to make this film. But for Sasha Knezev, director, writer of American Addict, what inspirational messages can you give to someone out there that maybe wants to become a filmmaker, documentary filmmaker, or maybe just follow their dreams in general?
Just keep going. My parents are immigrants. They came here to this country. I put myself, I grew up in the alleys of San Pedro. A lot of my friends, took the wrong path. When I was younger, I was a little wild. I went to USC. I paid for every dime on my own. I'm still paying, some of those darn loans. But anyway, so if I could believe me, when I went to USC, I was a little intimidated because all these people came from wealthy backgrounds.
Yeah.
But it was really quick until I realized that I'm, nothing against all the students here, but that I'm very creative and nobody can match my passion, and my confidence level just raised because I'm very confident in my style, my passion. So if you have a passion and if you want to make films, do not stop and do not let anyone discourage you. Just keep going and keep going and keep pushing, and don't take no for an answer. This is my 4th feature I'm working on.
Wow.
Greg and I are already talking about a 5th feature film, and I have 3 other screenplays. So it does. Just if you love film, don't take no for an answer, and just keep pushing.
Gotcha. And Dr. Gregory Smith, executive producer, co-writer of American Addict. What inspirational messages can you give to piggyback on that for those that maybe want to be a doctor too, but also as a filmmaker, or just in general following their dreams?
Well, anything in life takes effort, as we know, but I think the most important thing is there's always going to be setbacks, no matter who you are, no matter how much money you have or don't have. But the most important thing, I believe, is that if you can visualize something, if it comes into your mind, you can make it happen. And it's really, I'm really big in the law of attraction. So if you can hold in your mind with emotion what you want to happen, and see that, and focus on what you want and not what is, because often what is isn't good. So substitute in your mind for what's going wrong for what you want. Just keep focusing on what you want, and it will happen. It sounds simple. It's easier said than done, but if you can do that, then you can virtually do anything, and that's the take-home message for me. You can do anything you want.
Wow. Wow, great words of wisdom, guys. And now I guess we got about, let's say, less than 3 minutes left here. But to wrap this up really quick, is it what you guys, when you set out to do this 2-year journey of it, was it at the final end product? Is it what you did it fulfill your expectation, and did it fulfill your expectation, both of you guys?
I think, judging by the reactions we're getting, actually, there's a link on the website, AmericanAddictTheMovie.com, where it says share your story. So we're getting, hundreds, thousands of stories from across the nation of people that have been addicted to pills. Heart-wrenching. So when you read those, and when they're telling you that this film is so important to them, and they're calling their family members over to watch it, and they watch it multiple times, we want to help you, we need to start a cause and movement. That's very incredibly fulfilling. As a film itself, I'm very satisfied. And just one last thing before I go, before we move to Greg, I just want to thank Crazy D, the former DJ of NWA. He wrote a couple original songs for the film with Cypress Hill's Sin Dog.
Oh, awesome.
And a couple other hip-hop guys. It's a fantastic song, which we plan on shooting a video for soon. But I want to thank them because we added some really good music. We didn't want it just to be a dull, documentary. It's entertaining, and we did that. So I just wanted to say that. So.
Oh, no problem. And that's is it? As a executive producer too, was it all what you expected?
Well, the night we had the premiere, it was very emotional for me. I had a lot of family members there, and it was a warm premiere. A lot of people we knew, but really, and so I had a lot of good things that night. But really, the last 3 or 4 months since the last 2 or 3 months since it's been released, and since I've done a lot of media, the outpouring of emails and Twitter notifications and Facebook notifications has just made it all worth it for me. Very, very, very much worth it.
Wow, that's awesome. So again, any quick shout-outs really quick? We got about a minute 30 seconds. No?
Great.
You already did.
I think I did it, yeah.
I just want to say that for all the people that support us, because there's a lot of people that don't have a lot of money and has only given us their help in other ways. And I just want to thank all those people and that we really care. And I think that part of the things that we're going to focus on in American Addict 2 are more solutions, because we've identified the problems, and everyone every day on the news identifies the problems. We need solutions so that we can really make wide sweeping changes in this country.
I want to thank you, Tyrone, because you're a cool guy, and we've I think for 2-3 weeks tried to schedule this.
Well, we'll get a shout out to Jeff Helton.
Jeff Helton. Absolutely. Jeff Helton. My buddy, and Jeff and I have collaborated on at least a couple scripts, and Jeff introduced me to you, and so thanks, Jeff. Cool. And so I think that's about it. Greg.
Well, cool, guys. I thank you guys so much. Thank you. It was an honor meeting you guys. And again, check them out. AmericanAddictTheMovie.com. That's AmericanAddictTheMovie.com. You could check them out. Help support. Go to Indiegogo. They're trying to do, if you want to be part of the part 2. And also check them out. Netflix, iTunes, Amazon.com. It's everywhere. So again, go support these. Go check it out. I'll highly recommend it. I have not even got to check it out, but based off what I saw, and you guys seem like very sincere guys, and I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck, and I'm looking forward to finally getting to check this out. And again, for all of you guys out there, again, AmericanAddictTheMovie.com. And I thank you guys all. Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Again, Matthew 19:26. In man, things are possible. In God, all things are possible. And we are out.